Gonna wait a few minutes, see if I could set this up. Let's see, how do we go to this channel? Let's go to YouTube. Never done this before, so. All right, Rodimusbill's live. Oh, that's not right. The heck is that? All right, where am I? Hey Connor, come here for a minute. Hey Connor, come here for a minute.
What?
Hold on. Put that camera just a little up. Hold on. A little more. Put that camera just a little up. Wait. A little more. No, that's good. That's good. Whoa.
Is it mine?
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we're doing a live. We're doing a live review. Yeah, we're doing a live review. All right, guys. That was my son helped me out. I got my little tablet going. I got all my little Superman figures here. My son helped me out. I got my little tablet going. I got all my little Superman figures. 2 more weeks, and I'm moving back home. As some of you know, we kind of flooded during Hurricane Helene. And I've been living in an apartment building for 9 months. So my videos haven't been as much as I'd like to. And I got a lot of my figures still toted up. But I'll be moving back soon. So if you guys want to help, there's always that super thanks button. Or even got a link to buy me a coffee in the description. Just, you know, if you want to help out, $1-2. Little problem with FEMA, they're not helping at all. This is why FEMA needs to be in the state, not local. But, oh, wait, gotta move these back. Oops. There we go. All right, so never. I've done a few live before, but never like this. But I got the live chat on. I got my tablet here. We got about 3 more minutes. So I got the little Superman here. This is the Spin Master, like 6-inch figure I got. I got a review on him. I got Superman in the Fortress. That's pretty cool too. And then I've got, now this ain't crypto, this is Bullseye, the Target dog, as the new Superman outfit. And this is a Target special. First I thought this was the Return of Superman, but I think it's the Rebirth. Because Return of Superman, he had the black suit, but he didn't have the beard. The Rebirth was the whole 52 fiasco. So that is these guys. We still got 3 minutes. So we're just going to wait. Hi, guys. Let's see. We got Meme47, Batsy's Toy Review. This is my first live, so bear with me. We're going to try it. And this is going to be my full-length Superman review. As you may not know, Man of Steel, I think, is a masterpiece. I've always loved Superman ever since I was a kid. My license plate is actually Kal-El. I had a dog named Crypto. May he rest in peace. But yeah, you know, my kid's nursery was all Superman, red and blue. I had a big old, like a 5-foot Superman mural on the wall. But I've always been a Superman fan. Transformers, you know, I got later in the years, I kind of got into Transformers. But I'll always be a Superman fan first. So my old truck that I lost a 22 Tacoma during Hurricane Elaine. And it was all transformed out, so I replaced it with a 24 Tacoma, and now it's going back to the Superman license plate. I got little Superman decals all over it, so pretty good. Let's see, get that's yeah, those Hawkgirl figures. These are cool figures. They're a little bigger than those other stupid little Spin Master ones used to be, but I like these. And they're not that articulate. They could be a little articulated more. They could have wrist movement. These, and they got pretty good movement though. But they're not bad. Oh yeah, and they had Jazz. Pringle's left. I got my dog Pringle. Pringle and Jazz were sisters. But let me tell you, it's been a hell of a 9 months. You know, my area in Florida, my neighborhood always flooded, but my house never did in the 50 years. We were there, and I had 22 inches of rain in my house. And it took like 5 months to get the darn permits. All right, 7 o'clock. So here goes my first ever live review. This is going to be on the new James Gunn Superman movies. Yes, Transformers G1 is my favorite. All right. So this is a spoiler review. I'm going to go over the good. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I can put these on. Maybe these will be better. This is my spoiler review. So let's see. I'll go over the good, the bad. I'm going to go over the figures. I'm going to go over the plot of the movie. I'm going to go over everybody that played the characters and then what I liked about it. So, all right, beginning of the movie. I think we saw too much on the trailers. They basically showed you the beginning of the movie with him getting his butt kicked and going back to the earth. But I do like the captions, though. 3 years after Superman appeared, 300 years after metahumans, and I did, 3 weeks after he stopped the war, and then 3 hours before he got his butt kicked, or 3 minutes. I don't know. So that's the first scene. He falls into the snow, even before we get the credits. And then, you have that whole Crypto scene where he goes into the, he asks Crypto, bring him to the fortress. That fortress is pretty cool, though. That's one thing that Man of Steel disappointed me, was there was no real fortress. It was a spaceship. But he goes back into the Fortress Solitude. You see that whole thing. Now, that's my first gripe, where you have the Superman robots calling him Superman. If you want to be technical, then the robots should have called him Kal-El. They're not going to call him Superman. They know him by Master Kal-El or just Kal-El. All right, then you have him playing that video of his parents. Now to me, that video was the Martha moment from BVS. The first half of the recording was, oh yes, we want you to be a savior of this world. You'll be better than them. And then that's all he hears. And then you find out later on they want him to conquer it. Too easy. Lex kind of went in there, got the goods he wanted on Superman, and then left. But I know it was the MacGuffin of the story, basically, but it wasn't that bad. But it was almost like Superman Returns. The first half of Superman Returns, he comes back, he gets to Lois, real good movie, and then that whole land deal. It's always land with Lex Luthor. Always. Superman 98 or 78 was a land deal. Superman Returns, he wanted land. Superman 2, he wanted Australia from General Zod. But anyway, so that was that I didn't like, but it just didn't look like it came from the same movie. Now, so that was cool, the Fortress. I did like the Fortress, though. The Daily Planet. This was straight out of Superman Returns. You got the big columns and the TVs on every column. You got the the wide open spaces. It reminded me there are so many throwbacks to all the Superman movies in this movie that I don't know if they were deliberate or not, but they were pretty cool. Let's see. Like I said, everyone was there from Cat Grant, played by Michaela Hoover. Steve Lombard was a sports guy. Beck Bennett. Jimmy Olsen, although Jimmy Olsen was a photographer in here, but at least they didn't kill him off screen like in Man of Steel. See, I can knock on Man of Steel, even though to me it's a masterpiece. But I'm not a Snyder. I'm not one of these Snyder guys. Superman. I like all different. To me, it's like Elseworlds. Every Superman's different. Yeah, and there was a black Perry White. I mean, I love Lawrence Fishburne and Man of Steel, but I just hope it's not like an Iris West thing. The CW made Iris West the race swap, and then the movies picked up right at it. I don't mind when you do it to like minor characters. Perry White, I don't mind. Like I said, I love Lawrence Fishburne. I thought he did a good job. This guy, what was his name? I have it written down somewhere, but Eddie something? I don't know. Oh, and I love the intro credits, just like Superman 78, Superman the movie, where they just come in and stuff. So that was pretty cool. So we get into the movie. Superman and Lois already, they're a couple, but there just looks like they just started dating, and Clark says, I love you, and Lois is like, hey, I don't know if I want this or not. But, that's how it started. And to me, to be honest, the first 30 minutes, I turned to my kid and said, I hope this gets better. I was really, really struggling to like it. Because a lot of those scenes we've seen on TV, and yes, James Gunn is woke. Here's my little political statement. Yes, it was woke, but you just get rid of that 10 minutes and you're fine. Yeah, he's an immigrant, blah, 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 blah. I didn't mind it so much. You know what? It just went right past me. I sat through it. But they showed so much on the trailers. It was ridiculous how much they showed. And they kind of showed some good parts, too. So relationship with Lois at the start. Clark County loves her first was pretty good. I'm getting a little random. Let me stick to my notes. The Justice Gang. Now we're just going to go over the people. Guy Gardner. Oh, I love Nathan Fillion. Loved him in Castle. Loved him in The Rookie. He was in all of James Gunn's Guardians movies. I loved him. They cannot pick the better Guy Gardner. But Guy Gardner was pretty cool. Hey, Meme 47, you live in the same state. I hope you're not hurricanes like I was. I lived in Pinellas County. So Guy Gardner was pretty cool. Mr. Terrific, what can you say? They say he's the third smartest man in the DCU. They say Luthor's the first, but who's the second? Some say it's Batman, some not. But I like the way they did the T-spheres. So Hawkgirl was pretty cool. Guy Gardner was cool, Mr. Terrific. And I'm glad they didn't overuse them. At first I was worried because there's so many characters in this, but they used them pretty good. Lex Luthor, I did not like at all. I didn't. I mean, a lot of people like him. Holt, yeah, he's great, but I never even heard the guy before this. And, Optimus Prime is the Superman. That's pretty cool. Although I would say, let's see, who would be the Optimus Prime and the Superman? I'll get back on that one. Let's see. So Mr. Guy Gardner was pretty cool. Mr. Terrific was pretty cool. I liked Hawkgirl. I thought she was underused. I would like to see more Hawkgirl. The CGI was pretty good. I did like the constructs, like Guy Gardner flicking the bird with the tanks. I wish there was a little more of it, but I hope they're saving that for the Lantern show. But I liked the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds. I thought the constructs was pretty good. I didn't like his outfit, but I did like the constructs. Let's see. CGI was cool. I did like Guy Gardner. Superman was depowered. I mean, you can't say he wasn't weaker in this one. He had trouble lifting the kaiju up. He had trouble lifting a building up. But I guess that's what James Gunn wanted. He wanted to have a weaker Superman. And and the way he let the Justice League or the Justice Gang fight the battles, I thought that was pretty good too. I don't know if he would have done that in the comics, but for here. Oh, and one note for those people that hate Snyder and said he destroyed Metropolis, there were a lot of buildings destroyed, and I don't care if they got put back together at the end. Buildings toppled over, and no way did people get out in time. There was just as much, maybe not. Well, there might have been just as much destruction in this movie as Man of Steel. But you know what? That's what happens when you have superpowered beings fighting each other. Let's see. And one thing about the actual movie, I thought the color palettes was too dark. And I don't know about my screen, but I had the black bars on the two ends because they said James Gunn filmed it in IMAX. But I thought the whole screen. I kept on telling my kids they didn't. The curtains on the side used to roll over when the movie starts. The curtains aren't moving. I even went out to get the guy at the concession stand and said, hey, the curtains haven't moved. But then looking back, that was meant that way. Let's see. So going back to my notes, immigrant dialogue, I went through that. And I thought, in Man of Steel, Henry Cavill telling the general he was raised in Kansas. I thought that was even a better scene than what this movie did. But it wasn't bad. Let's see. Excuse me. Superman. I never knew who David Cornsweet was. I don't know him. I think he made a good Superman. I started liking him, but I don't like him as Clark Kent, who was very underused. I mean, they barely used Clark Kent at all in this movie. Very little at all. And I did explain the hypno glasses, how anybody that looks at him, it fuzzes his face up. I thought that was pretty cool. No one's ever explained that before. But I started getting used to the suit. I mean, the red pants never did look good. And in the trailers, he kind of looked like he was pajamas, but it didn't look so bad on screen. But then I read an article from James Gunn saying that he is going to change all their uniforms. So I thought he'd have a new uniform at the end of this movie, but he didn't. But I think you're going to see a different uniform variation in different movies. And this one had the new 52 high collar. It had the paneling on the arms, the Kingdom Come S, of course, with the yellow background, and of course the pants. But I started getting used to it. It didn't look as bad throughout the movie. I mean, that's when I first saw that first trailer. I'm like, oh boy, I hope that's not the suit. Just to go through Rachel Brosnahan. I thought she made good. There's never really one bad Lois Lane. Amy Adams is pretty good. That girl in Superman Returns, I think she was the worst out of the bunch. I think she was too young, but they never had a bad Lois Lane. Let's see. Very good reporter. She was able to balance her relationship with Clark and Superman. She's one that discovered the real truth behind Luthor's plan. She connected the dots with him making pennies on the dollar, selling the guns. But I think her and Mr. Terrific teamed up, and they made a good team. Let's see. Jimmy Olsen was Skylar Gisondo. He had a relation with Eve Tessmacher. Now, that was a throwback to Superman the movie. You got Eve Tessmacher and Otis. Otis was a little short, bumbling oaf. And Eve Tessmacher was in Superman the movie, too. And even that one, she's the one that rescued Superman from the kryptonite. She jumped in the pool, and she got the kryptonite off of him. But I'm glad Eve came back and Otis. Even though Otis was a big, taller African-American guy, but he was smart. He was behind the controls and stuff. So, but even though, they gave him a name, Otis, that might have been just a callback, but not that bad. Oh yeah, Perry White Wendell Pierce, that's the guy's name. I didn't mind him. I've seen him in a few movies and stuff. But they even used the line, "Don't call me Chief." That was pretty cool. Let's see, Guy Gardner and Nathan Fillion. Oh, I love Guy Gardner. Has always been one of my favorite Green Lanterns, and I thought Nathan Fillion was a perfect one. Hawkgirl, Isabel Merced. I don't know her. I don't know her at all, but I just wish she had more to do. Metamorpho, Anthony Kerrigan, played a small but important part keeping Superman depowered. You know, just because it's kryptonite, I'm sure he's supposed to, like, he knew what the sun was made of. I don't know anybody knows what kryptonite's made of, but that whole thing, putting him in there, they kidnapped his son Joey, and then Lex Luthor kidnaps his son Joey when they put in the Pocket Universe. But he was just to move the story along. Nicholas Holt, don't know what. Somebody tell me where you've seen Nicholas Holt. It's funny because Nicholas Holt, he was paid $2 million for the movie, while Rachel and David Cornsweet was only paid $750,000. But just like in the original Superman movie, you had Gene Hackman was a bigger star than Christopher Reeve. So I guess Luthor's always played by, and I don't like Jesse Eisenberg in BVS, but Nicholas Hoult. What more can you say? One thing I didn't like about him was that whole fight with him predicting Superman's every move. I kind of thought I was almost at a bingo game. But we'll get into that later. Oh yeah, and about Lex Luthor too. This whole plot was to start a war. It almost reminded me of like the plot to Civil War from Marvel, Captain America Civil War. A million things had to go right for the plan to work, and it all went right. So he supplied both sides so Superman would stop the fighting just on the hunch that the public would turn against them, and then the government would make Luthor's Raptors be the ones to arrest him, so then he can kill him. But how did he know the public was going to turn against him if he didn't find that tape? So again, Lex Luthor and land deals. I don't know. We got to talk about the Kents. Martha Kent, Neva Howell, and Jonathan Kent was Pruitt, Taylor, Vince, is that his name? Oh man, James, stereotypes. Martha Kent was horrible. I know some people are going to hate me when I say that Martha was bad, but I couldn't stand Martha. She was the hillbilly accent, the yelling into the speakerphone, that whole thing, I'll go get your boots. Every other Martha Kent that's been portrayed, she was a very intelligent woman. She had a good head on her shoulders. This one made her look like a silly, stupid hillbilly. And then Jonathan Kent was a little better, but, she just took me out of the movie at all. The Engineer, or Angel Spicer, by Maria Gabriela De Fario. Pretty cool. I kind of remember, I used to collect Superman comics from I was 16 to 3 years ago. So I got 22 big, long boxes of comics. And I know the Engineer's been in them before, I'm sure. But that whole thing, it almost reminded me of Green Lantern or whatever one I'm looking at with the nanoprobes. Kind of like Iron Man could do anything. Cyborg. Yeah, she was like the equivalent of Cyborg. So, and she had a good part to play. I didn't mind her. Her fight scenes with Superman were pretty good. Although, we'll get into that later. Ultraman, or the Hammer of Bravia. Like I said, he was controlled way too easy, I thought, and I just didn't. Later on you find out he's a clone. I didn't so mind that much, but you knew that was going to happen. Sorry about that. Parents calling. But I just didn't like how Luthor was like, B-37, Z-10, and I don't care how smart you are, you don't, 20. It would have been better if Ultraman would have had something on his head or in his costume that was reading Superman's mind. But I just didn't see the. I just didn't see the. Love the ringtone. You heard that too? Darn. I just didn't see the whole point of Lex Luthor memorizing all his fight moves. But and all the ones and all those punches they took, I'm surprised that the speaker still worked. Let's see. We got Otis. Yeah, the original 3 movies. Oh, and Christopher Reeve's son Will. He showed up as a reporter, and even Jake Tapper popped in too. Let's see. He was killed in BVS, I think. That was That was a while ago. You know what? I got these backwards. Yeah, and Pa Kent. I think I like him better when Pa's death is what makes Clark become the man he is. He has to have that suffering. So I like it better when his dad dies and he's not alive, and his mother's a solid rock. But again, I don't think his mother could be the rock in this movie. Let's see. All right, and then we'll hit Peacemaker. John Cena was on TV. Alan Tudyk was playing the Superbot for Gary. Was pretty cool. And the plot. I already hinted on the plot, but it was a convoluted plot. Like I said, too much stuff going on. And the good thing he saw that video, you know. Let's see what else. There was Superman 2. Superman 2 was with General Zod. Let's see, Man of Steel, he was handcuffed and brought in like Henry Cavill was. When Superman and Lois flew in circles at the end of the movie, that was taken right out of Superman Returns. There's one thing I was missing from this whole movie was the flyby. You've got to have the space flyby. Every Superman movie's done it before. Superman Returns had it. Even Man of Steel had it in the middle when Henry first got the outfit, but they should have done it. You got to do a flyby. Got to do a flyby. Let's see, the whole Pocket Universe. I mean, that was right out of a comic book. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it's very comic booky, and again, him with one hand trying to rescue Joey and Metamorpho. But that's when I think the movie started picking up. Right after they arrested him, and that's when the movie got good. And the Hall of Justice. Lois going to the Hall of Justice and talking to Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific. The outside was just like the Super Friends cartoon. The inside was almost like an airport. You had all the chairs and looks like couches laid around. Looked like a big fancy airport. But that was still pretty cool. Guy kept on calling it the Justice Gang, and nobody else liked it. And my son said he saw a Wayne Tech or some kind of logo in the background with the W in it. I'm gonna have to probably watch. I have to go see it again. I got the Regal Unlimited card, so I'll probably see it like 3 or 4 times. I remember I saw Man of Steel 4 times in the movie theater. That one I went to the special showing they had too from Walmart. We had to buy the tickets. Again, Lex Luthor. That whole plan of his. It wasn't bad. I did like how Mr. Terrific and Lois, they went to the pocket dimension, and he sent his little T-spheres in, and they found Superman, and they brought him back. They reminded me of like in the comic books when he was trapped in the Phantom Zone, and somebody sent in something was sent in, maybe Crypto or some robots, and they had to lead him out of the Phantom Zone. So that was pretty cool. I did like that whole Pocket universe. That was from a good comic book. So then you get all that, and then the final battle. Yeah, the engineer and the Hammer of Barovia, which we find out now is the clone called Ultraman, and they fight. And the Justice Gang goes to defend Jarhanpur from Bohavia. Again, the plan was Lex Luthor to take over half of Bohavia, and he was going to king. So, and then Crypto comes in. Crypto is captured, and then, he rescues Crypto, and then Crypto helps him destroy the drones, and that's what, you think that Ultraman would have had something in his head, like an earpiece or something, telling him what things. So all Crypto had to do was destroy the drones, and then Superman got the upper hand because Ultraman wasn't being controlled by Lex Luthor. that I still think they should have had something like technical and stuff. But oh yeah, at the same time, the Pocket Universe is ripping apart and splitting Metropolis into two. This is where the Metropolis destruction comes in. And a Superman Returns throwback. When Superman Returns, there was a when they first created the Kryptonite Island, it caused an earthquake, and you see the earthquake go right up to Metropolis, and then it broke all the windows. And the same thing happened in this one. There were so many throwbacks to all the Superman movies that went before. Well, I don't know about 3 or 4, but we don't mention those two. But it was still pretty cool, you know, and the buildings, how many, there was like probably what, 15, 20 buildings that fell down. So there had to be some people get killed. There had to be some destruction, you know, and people saying, you know, on these Facebook groups. Let me tell you, I'm not a Snyder. I like Snyder's work, but you know, I don't live or die with the guy. James Gunn. I go to a movie. I don't care who the director is. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. I don't care. And I think some movies are hurt by their directors. Same thing with Transformers. People that hate Michael Bay don't like the Transformers. People that don't like Snyder don't like any other Man of Steel or Superman except him. But I didn't mind Snyder. You know, Justice League was one of my favorite movies, the 4-hour version. But anyway, so it's throwbacks to Man of Steel, the buildings, the Superman Returns. And then, you know, he's fighting at the end, and why does Luthor wait till destruction tears his building apart, and then he, you know, has the in between the bridge become his own escape pod? You could have saved your building. You could have waited 5 seconds more. He waits the very last minute to stop it, which made no sense. But you know, then that black hole, and then, you know, Superman traps, you know, that whole fighting with the black hole, and Mr. Terrific comes in and helps, and Guy, I don't remember, Guy helps. Who helps him in that black hole? Oh man, now I'm gonna have to go see it again. I only saw it the one time. Now I'm forgetting stuff. Oh yeah, right before hitting humans in flight. Oh yeah, and the Raptors. You're telling me that he used those heat visions on all of those humans in suits, and they all fell, and no one got hurt or died. It's almost as disbelief as Rhodey, you know, War Machine, when he fell, you know, 1,000 feet in a metal suit and hurt his legs. I mean, some of those people had to die. You don't fall out of the sky like that. First of all, the heat vision should have cut them in half, not just hurt their outfit, because he was spinning around. That heat vision would have, you know, this heat vision strong. I don't care how weak he made it. It would have cut those guys in half, and they all would have died. You know, and that was the Guardians of the Galaxy moment. There were 2 Guardians of the Galaxy moments in this movie, and that's just James Gunn. You know, like Snyderverse with the lens flare and stuff. Everybody's got their little thing. Oh, let's see. So now Superman. Oh, and the public turned way too quick on Superman. He's had 3 years to build up goodwill, and then all of a sudden, you know, they see a video by his parents, and all of a sudden they just turn on him like that. I'm like, no, you don't just believe that. Even if that was a real video, I don't think the public's going to turn on them. And so, and how is he going to get back in the good graces? It's like pretend that video don't exist just because he saved everybody. So that was, like I said, few little plot holes that I, as a Superman fan, could say. You know, I'm not going to say, oh, this was perfect. It wasn't perfect. It was a good movie. It was a good start to the universe. Let's get back real quick. So now he's in good grace with the people. I guess they found out Lex Luthor, you know, Perry White and Lois went to the air and told everybody. And then, so at the very end, he's back at the fortress, and Supergirl makes an appearance. Oh my God. You're telling me this is your new Supergirl, a drunk 20-something that likes to go to planets with red suns to get drunk and party. Now, this Supergirl is supposed to be, from what all intents and from all the reporting was this Supergirl is one that's got fear. She's got she saw Krypton blow up. She's had a rough life, and she's supposed to be this edgy type girl, and the one James Gunn had was like a party girl. So her movie's finished filming, comes out June 26th or June 16th of next year. So we'll see what happens then. And Crypto belongs to her, which that was a little throwback. It's always been Superman's dog, but now she's got the dog. Let's see, Supergirl makes an appearance. She likes to party. Yeah. And then the two end credit scenes. Superman and Crypto sitting on the moon. Now, it was different because you had Crypto come on his shoulder this way and look at the camera, which was different. But I completely missed the fight with the engineer and Ultraman. She was getting into his lungs, all the nanoprobes, and he was flying off into space. And other Superman movies, as soon as he would have left the atmosphere, they should have turned to ice, and then he should have broke free. But yeah, and I saw somebody said that, hey, he can sit on the moon, but he can't breathe because she's got nanos in his lungs. Supposedly in the comics, he could hold his breath for like an hour, but he always brought a little breathing apparatus with him when you saw him in space for a long time. But, yeah, I mean, the fight scenes were pretty good. I know this review is all over. I apologize. It's just, I've never done a live one before. So I figured, why not do one now? And hey, I appreciate you guys staying with me. Yeah, James Gunn is my favorite meme 47. I love the Suicide Squad. Guardians of the Galaxy is still probably my favorite Marvel movie out of all of them. That first Guardians. That was special to me. This one doesn't hit as much, but I could see where, I could see the trajectory that this new movie's taken place. You got established heroes. I know there's going to be a Batman. There's going to be a Wonder Woman. They're talking about just a Justice League movie they just released. They're going to come out. But I am excited. I mean, what I would like to see more, Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, and Henry Cavill. Yes, it all depends on Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers kept on pulling the plug too much. They interfere with BVS. They interfere with Justice League. They probably interfere with The Flash. They probably had a hand in Aquaman. But I would have, that DCEU, the extended universe, I would have liked to see more, but I'm glad Jason Momoa is going to be our Lobo in this new universe. But WB needs to stay out of the movies. Them cutting times, demanding Justice League be under 2 hours. I mean, those extra 30 minutes in BVS changed the whole context. The movie, the 4-hour Justice League was like it was a masterpiece. But WB needs to stay out of the movies. And now that, they never had James Gunn and Peter Safran in charge. You need somebody in charge of the whole universe. I wish they would have had somebody at the beginning with Man of Steel, BVS, then the Man of Steel 2 should have come out. But that's what I think killed the recent Star Wars trilogy. You had J.J. Abrams come in and do Force Awakens, and you had Rian Johnson go in a completely different direction, and then J.J. Abrams had to come back and course correct. You have to have 1, 2, 3. You have to have a plan. If you're going to do a trilogy, do a trilogy. If you're going to do Superman, this happens, Superman, and then Supergirl, and then Batman, and then some other one. I know it's too late to do the, Marvel was good with the Infinity Stones, but DC, I did like the mother boxes though. I mean, DC needed to do some kind of MacGuffin that ties the movies together, but I understand why they're not doing it, because they want to be different from, they've got to be different from Marvel. Yes, I liked all the Superman animated figures, the series. The new one they have right now, it's like, I never got into it. But yeah, Superman. You know, the old ever since I was born in '73, so I grew up on the Super Friends show. So you know, Wonder Twins Activate, Samurai. I was into. You know, I've been watching Superman since I was 3, 4 years old. But Metal Force, I never heard of that. But back to the future of the DCU. If James Gunn sticks to his plan, and they have to intertwine, but not force it down your throat. You know, the next movie's Supergirl, and then is Clayface. Believe it or not, Clayface. Now, if Supergirl hits and Clayface is really good, then you're gonna start. You know, the fans will get behind it. If Supergirl tanks and WB gets involved, then I don't see this universe taking off, and there'll probably be another reboot in the next couple of years. So let's hope it was a gamble doing Supergirl as the next movie, but we'll see what happens. I can't wait for the casting of Batman, of Gal Gadot, or the new Batman, the new Wonder Woman. And even if they bring Gal Gadot over, you know what? People forget about it. Just bring her over. Or you know what? Do an Elseworlds movie. I want to see an Elseworlds Batman. You know, I want to see it. If you could bring Henry Cavill back as an Elseworlds movie, that'd be fine. Or even bring him back as another Kryptonian. That'll satisfy the Snyder fans and everything else. So I know I was all over the thing. I had a nice little thing all decked out, but it didn't go as planned. But that's what happens. I'm glad. Thank you, Batsy's Toys and Meme47, and there was one other one. Ghost of Pedro stopped in. I like the Target Figure Dog. I don't know if he's still there or not, but thanks, guys. Like I said, in 2 weeks I'll be moving back home, and I had my construction guy. I have an extra bedroom. I had him insulated extra, put extra lighting in, so maybe I can have a nice little studio. So I'll just be glad. This last 9 months have been a living hell in this apartment. I got 2 kids that had to share a room. You know, I got 2 dogs and one passed away, and now I got 1 left. It was just, I'll be glad I'm going home. So, all right, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for staying tuned and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Catch you later. Bye, guys. Comment below. Hold on. Shoot, how do I end it? Hello? Hello?